Hello. So let's look at the bill for February. Before we get into it, a big shout out to Don Miller. I was in the comments talking about how the Powerwall wouldn't help too much because I get paid dollar for dollar for net metering, and he noticed that I wasn't necessarily getting paid dollar for dollar. And we kind of went back and forth because I knew that with the company that I'm with, I'm supposed to be getting paid dollar for dollar, but for last month I actually wasn't. So I called the company and got an explanation, and I found out that they put everything in manually and they made a mistake. I believe they had the decimal point over, and I was getting paid like 5 cents per kilowatt instead of I think it was around 9 cents that I was supposed to get. So now I have to make sure I check that every month because now I know it has a chance to be incorrect every month. Okay, so a couple things from the bill. It was a 29-day period. I sent 565 kilowatt hours to the grid, and they paid me $52.45 for that. My cost per kilowatt hour went up about 1 cent this period. On the first day of the period, I had a sunrise at 6:51 and a sunset at 5:45. On the last day of the period, the sunrise was at 6:23 with a sunset at 6:07. That gave me an average of 11 hours and 19 minutes of daylight, and the amount of daylight increased by 50 minutes over the month. Temperatures also went up, no more freezing days. The average temperature was 65, up from 49 last month. The big thing, sunlight. I had 5 sunny days, 8 partly cloudy, and 16 cloudy days. So still didn't get the max production. I don't expect to get 30 full days or anything like that of full sunny, but we have more cloudy days than sunny days. I produced a total of 716.47 kilowatt hours. I averaged just over 24 kilowatt hours per day in production. My consumption was 1,305 kilowatt hours, and I averaged just over 45 kilowatt hours per day. 71% of the solar that I produced was actually exported to the grid, and 84% of my usage came from the grid. So I was doing a lot of producing electricity while either no one was at home or while we weren't using a lot of electricity. Our solar installer guaranteed us a production of 10,402 kilowatt hours per year, and that comes out to 28.5 kilowatt hours per day. For the February bill cycle, I averaged 24.7 kilowatt hours per day. So I'm still not hitting that number yet, but it's an average over the course of a year, and we still aren't in summer yet. My consumption is still a little higher than I would like it to be at 45 versus the national average, which is 29.5, and the average in Louisiana, which is 40.76. But I might not be able to get it too much lower because I drive an electric car, so it's probably about as good as it's going to get. On the bill, the $52.45 only accounts for what I sent back to the grid. I, of course, use some of my own solar, so from the 716 kilowatt hours that I made, that gave me a savings of $66.72. To help this more relate to anyone else, the national average rate for electricity is 12 cents per kilowatt hour, and if you had the exact same setup as me with the same weather and everything, you would have saved $85.98 since the electricity is more expensive. Over that period, I drove 2,066 miles. My efficiency is still at 294 watt hours per mile, and that would have cost me $56.57 worth of charging. That doesn't account for supercharging and any vampire drain that I can't really account for. Based on gas prices at the end of the period, I think it was the same as it was last month at $2.28 a gallon. And comparing to a car that gets 27 miles per gallon, it would have cost me $174 in gasoline. So if you consider that I spent roughly $57 charging the car and I would have spent about $174 in gas. I saved about $117 in transportation. So the national average price of gas is $2.61 at the end of the period, 12 cents per kilowatt hour. So based on the national average, it would have cost me $199.71 to put gas in the car versus $72.89 to charge the car. And that would have been a savings of $126.82. So let's look at a couple days that stood out. First, March 7th. That was my best day so far, best day of the month, best day of the year, best day since I've had the solar panels. The consumption was average, but it was my highest production day since I've had the solar panels. And a quick spoiler alert, for the month of March, I actually broke this record several times, including a period where I broke it 4 times in a row. So that was the best day. Let's look at the worst day. That's going to be February 15th. Production was fairly low. It was partly cloudy. I had a really high consumption day, and that was really what caused it to be the worst day. I was riding. I had a trip to New Orleans, and I basically limped back home, and I had to charge the car almost from zero. That was actually the first time I had the car tell me I needed to slow down to make it to my destination. So that was a little tense. But that's the explanation for that. I feel like I needed to explain that spike on the chart. But I actually had more good days. March 2nd, I had a break-even day. I produced basically the same as I consumed. March 3rd, I was plus 4 kilowatt hours. And March 6th, I was plus 2 kilowatt hours. And you can see it on the production chart. You can see that huge spike on February 15th early in the period. And you can see at the end a couple days where that blue line goes over the orange line when the production is more than consumption for the day. But for the most part, my consumption stays 15 to 20 kilowatt hours above my production. So for the year, I've produced 1.35 megawatt hours. And since I've had them installed, I've produced 3 megawatt hours. And that's about all I have for that build period. If you wanted more specific information, just let me know. I can try to add it to the future videos. All the details and description about my panels and the layout and the location, they're in the description. One thing to keep an eye out for, I will be attempting to do a video of me rebuilding the battery in my electric lawnmower. I know I mentioned I was afraid to electrocute myself earlier, and I've opened it up. I kind of looked at it and ordered the parts, and I don't think it's going to be as hard as I thought it was. So we'll see how that goes.